folks, that's the brand new single, The Greatest Show on Dirt, with Canadian superstar Meghan Patrick, who's on the line now from Nashville. How you doing, Meghan?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure, and I know it's a busy time of year, busy doing all sorts of things, so it's great to have you on UK country.
It's good to be here. I'm hoping to actually be in UK country one of these days.
Well, I'll come to that in a minute because I've just seen something online before you came on the show, and I thought, I wonder if I can get an exclusive, but I probably won't. Anyway, um, but but yeah, you're basically from Ontario originally, yeah, in Canada.
Yep, small town in Ontario, Bowmanville, Ontario. And yeah, so I'm actually a dual citizen. My mom is American and my dad's Canadian, and I made the move down to Nashville just over 6 years ago.
Right. This time, well, just short of this time last year, I was in Ontario, to Niagara to Quebec, Toronto, all that kind of thing, Kingston, all
Yep.
that, Montreal. So I love the place. It's one of the
Yeah.
best places on the planet.
Great area. Yeah, I actually went to school. I went to university in Montreal.
Oh wow, that's Mount Royal. I was always wondering what does Montreal stand for? It's Mount Royal, isn't it? The big hill
I
overlooking.
guess so, yeah.
Definitely. And I always find different country places. And I mean, one of the things I've been working quite a lot with Strut for about probably 2 years now. And I got the opportunity to meet him when I was on vacation in Toronto because I said to him, your office is about 10 minutes from my hotel. So we had a coffee and we shoot the breeze. And hence that's why I'm speaking to artists like yourself and bridging that thing across the pond. But that's a great single as well. And obviously it's a forthcoming 6 track like long EP or short album. I don't know which is which. But what's the old sort of concept around that?
Around the song,
Mm.
around Great Wonder. Yeah. Well, I was on a writing retreat with a few of my friends, Tranny Anderson, Jake Mitchell, and Matt McGinn. And Tranny was the one who actually brought that title. And as soon as she said it, we were all like, "Oh my God, that's an amazing title." Okay, like how do we not screw it up, you know? And we were trying to figure out, okay, what is the song about? And because I feel like it could have been easy to get really kind of like cheesy with it, and so we really talked a lot just about the concept before we ever even really started writing the song. And then I had said, well, what if it was just kind of, it was sort of a throwback, nostalgic kind of look at a relationship that, you know, didn't work out, but at the time it was kind of this dreamy thing. It was like such a great moment in time. It was almost like cinematic. And this guy, he had all the right lines, and you spent the summer, riding, back roads in his truck and laying out a blanket to look at the stars, all this kind of stuff. And and the point of the song isn't, that they broke up or why they broke up. It's more just about being able to look back at a moment in time and kind of remember it fondly.
It's great. It's a pity you can't do that in England because it rains too much. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the English girls would probably be giving some strange looks to the guy saying, "Hey, you want to lay out on this wet grass?"
yeah. Come on, let's go inside. Let's go and have a cup of coffee inside. Uh, but no, it's great because I mean, some of the songwriters that are on the album, they've wrote with like Tim McGraw, Brantley Gilbert, Blake Shelton, Lainey Wilson, who's hot property right now, isn't she?
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
but uh, but yeah, it's a great concept as well, and a lot of people are doing that now, where they're not going in with the 10 to 12 track albums. It's more like an EP or short album just to dip your toe a little bit, see how it's going. I mean, is that the way things are going over there now? Do you think?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the CDs have now come shorter, like EPs or long.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, well, it's tough because I mean, honestly, like I write so many songs. Like I would love to be putting out full-length albums all the way, but the way music is consumed has changed. And I think listeners, because it's not just radio where they're getting their music, they're getting it from streaming and DSPs and TikTok, social media. So it's a very like saturated market right now, and the attention span is not very long. And so when you're a newer artist, it seems to be the best approach to just release smaller amounts of music but more consistently, so you're always having something new coming out but in more like digestible um pieces, I guess,
Yeah,
as opposed to like a
chunks.
full-length album.
No, and it makes
Because
sense. It does make
pardon?
sense. It does
Yeah.
make sense because unless you physically buy a CD now, people are just, like I say, it's everything's on streaming like Spotify, Deezer, all like Apple Music, and I think sometimes it gets lost a little bit like that because I mean I used to love the albums and the artwork on an album, and you could, and same with the CD, I suppose, to a certain point, and
Mhm.
it sort of sometimes gets lost, and there's only a few artists that actually go and get a CD anymore, or a
Yeah.
vinyl. But that's the way of the world. And the good thing
Yeah.
about it is, I suppose, is that people who would normally not listen to an artist can actually listen to it and then go, oh, hang on a minute. And I've done that quite a lot recently. I'll go, never heard this artist before, because you get sent so many emails. Then you go,
Yeah.
oh, right, okay. And then you start on the journey then with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, congratulations as well, because you are, CCMA Female Vocalist of the Year consecutively as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that was wild for sure.
But it must be a rubber stamp to say, well, I'm doing all right. What I'm doing is right.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely it feels great to get that recognition from the industry and from your peers. It's definitely very motivating, and it's a special moment too when you get to go up there and accept an award, and you get to thank everybody that helped you get there. So yeah, it definitely feels like something. It's something that really inspires you to keep going for sure.
Well, absolutely. And again, that's like you say, it's a rubber stamping where you've got to, but starting right back at the beginning, how did it all start for you? What was the big sort of light bulb moment to say, well, country music or music in general is my path?
Well, it was a it was a pretty intense moment for me. I shouldn't say it wasn't necessarily just one moment, but I mean, music was always there for me. I always loved music. I grew up, in a house where we almost always had music playing as opposed to like the TV being on. And it definitely became a big part of my life from a young age. And I mean, I think I figured out I could sing when I was 12 years old. I auditioned for the school musical, and my teacher said, "Hey, you have a really great voice. Like, do you think you'd ever want to do singing lessons?" And so she told my parents, and they found me a vocal teacher. And so I started studying all the Royal Conservatory stuff as well, theory and technique and all of that, and did music all through high school. I think I started my first band. We were with my friend Hillary. Well, she started the band, and we think we were 13 or 14 almost when that happened. And we had a great time. But I think like I didn't really actually think about doing it full time, like as a career, until the end of high school, because during all that time I was actually a competitive snowboarder, a really serious competitive snowboarder. And I was doing that all through high school, and in my senior year I was having like the best season of my life, and I was in a place where I was setting my sights on, like, I wanted to go to the Olympics. And one of my best friends that I grew up with, Matt Morrison, we were training together. We were on the same team. He was the one who taught me how to snowboard, and it was the same for him. And I had made a deal with my parents that if I made the national development team after that season, they were okay with me deferring going to university in order to chase this dream. And so that was my plan. And then senior year of high school, I was warming up in a competition, and I had a really bad fall and severe injury. I broke my back,
Wow.
dislocated my shoulder, snapped my collarbone, broken ribs, severe concussion. Just really, I was very lucky to not be paralyzed. I was lucky to walk after the accident, and it was a very brutal and long recovery between the concussion and all the injuries. I mean, I couldn't even walk at first. I couldn't get up and go to the bathroom by myself. I was in a lot of pain. I was extremely depressed because I just watched all of my dreams just like be taken away from me in a flash. But I also during that time, I really kind of turned to music. It was very therapeutic for me, whether I was just listening to music or, writing lyrics or whatever else I could do. And so when I came out on the other side of that recovery and went back to school, and resumed my singing lessons and everything, I kind of realized, okay, maybe there's a different path for me. And it was as difficult as it was at the time. I look back on it now and it felt like it was God in a very obvious way saying, "Hey, I got something else over here for you that's even better than what you had planned." And so I decided to chase music, and my parents really wanted me to go to university. So I studied opera. I got into the opera program at McGill University, which is one of the top music schools in the country, and quickly realized after 1 year that wasn't really for me. I wasn't really passionate about the genre. And so then I switched into the jazz program, which I enjoyed more as a genre, but still I was kind of like, I was in a place where I was getting a lot more from the extracurricular from the people, the musicians I was meeting and the gigs I was playing in the bars and everything than I was from, sitting in a classroom. And I got to a point where, I basically realized that I didn't need a degree to do it. I wanted to get a record deal. I wanted a publishing deal. I wanted to learn the business side of things. And so I dropped out, which was not my parents' favorite phone call. But they said, well, we support you, not financially, you're on your own there, but we'll support you, emotionally. And so at the time I was playing in this bluegrass band, and there was a music festival that started in our hometown called Boots and Hearts, which is now one of the biggest festivals in the country. And our bluegrass band, since we were kind of the local band, we got to play in this festival. And that was my first exposure to like the country fan base. I mean, I grew up around country music. A lot of my friends listened to it. I hadn't really gotten super into it until then. And I just really loved the fan base to
Yeah.
begin with. And when I parted ways with that band, I'd started writing songs that were just by myself for the first time, as opposed to collaborating with other people. And they were country songs. I wasn't trying to make them country songs. That seemed to be just kind of what came out of me naturally. So that's how I got there.
Well, yeah, I think from your experience as a sports person as well, that's a country song right there, isn't there? But it's having that tenacious sporting mentality that will always put people in good stead in the music industry, because there are knockbacks. A lot of people think it's just plain sailing, and they think overnight sensation. Oh no, there's at least 10 years behind that. That you've got the knockbacks and the not this time kind of thing. Or you're just playing for tips in a bar, and you do need that tenacity, don't you?
Definitely. I mean, I definitely learned from a young age. I mean, and before I was a snowboarder, I was a competitive gymnast as well. So I learned a lot of discipline. I learned the value of working hard and being committed to something. And I learned about sacrifice. I have been sacrificing my personal life and things I've wanted to do my whole life to chase all kinds of dreams, whether it was snowboarding or gymnastics or now my music. And it's a hard balance to find. But I definitely see a lot of the value I pulled from my days as an athlete into being an artist now.
Brilliant. And obviously that's the now. What's around the corner now? You was on about UK. Now I've seen something online, because country to country, and obviously your other half, Mitchell, was over this year.
Yep.
I was at the Glasgow event.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, I love C2C anyway. It's the next best thing, because I've not been to Nashville yet, and which is a crime in itself, I know. But it's the next best thing we've got. And
Yeah.
but this time I decided to go to Glasgow and do the interviews up there. And the whole thing is, obviously the early bird tickets are out now. So there's a part on Google that's saying pick your artist for next year. You're,
Okay.
you're mentioned in the singer
Yes.
songwriter.
I have been dying to go.
You are mentioning dispatches, and although you wouldn't be able to divulge, and I would never say, "Is it true?" But is it true?
You know what? I have no idea. I haven't heard anything. I mean, my agents know that I really want to go over there. So I'm sure that they're working on it. I can't see why that wouldn't happen for next year. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm putting it out of the universe. I'm manifesting it because it has been on my bucket list forever. Especially like, I mean, London, I know Mitchell loved that, and just like Ireland, Scotland have been on my bucket list forever. I've got a little bit of Irish heritage, I guess, back in my ancestry. Meghan Patrick, I guess, is a pretty like Irish name.
Absolutely. Well, with Canada as well, there is a strong Canada stroke Irish stroke Scottish contingent in there if you go back a ways.
Yep.
It's like that in England. I mean, I live about 15 minutes away from Liverpool, the home of the Beatles kind of thing.
That's
And
actually where my grandmother's from.
is it Liverpool?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yep. Which is so funny also. So I don't know if she was, I have to talk to my dad about this because she might have just been pulling my leg, but my grandmother is a Harrison. And she had told me once when I was younger that she was some kind of distant relation to George Harrison. I don't know if that's actually true, but
Wow.
hey, maybe if it is, perhaps that's where the musical talent filtered down from.
I mean, Liverpool is a wash of music, and obviously prior to the Beatles, even. But
Mhm.
certainly since then, and obviously country music over here now has took a really big strong stranglehold. And we have the British Country Music Awards at the Cavern where the Beatles played. We have it there now.
Oh, awesome.
Oh
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's really really good. And it'd be great to have you over here as well. So it'd be yeah, let's see what happens. Let's just roll the dice and see what goes on.
Yep,
But before we finish,
absolutely.
I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
You have got a fire pit party tonight, and you can invite six people to the party. Six people that it could be family, it could be friends, it could be past and present, that is. It could also be musical, it could be teachers, it could be anything. But who would those six people be and why?
What kind of party is it?
It's a fire pit party, but you can have any
Oh, a
kind
fire
of
pit party.
party.
Okay. Oh man, that's tough because my first thought is like thinking about I would just want a bunch of musicians so we could just
Have a
sit
bunch
around
of
a
musicians. It
campfire and
doesn't matter.
play.
It's
Uh,
your party.
I mean, the first person that comes to mind would be John Prine because you said dead or alive, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
John Prine is one of my favorite songwriters, and just I saw him actually once at Bonnaroo, and it like brought me to tears. He's just so wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, mm, Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
I would just to be in her presence, to like hear her sing in real life.
Respect.
I'm looking back at my wall, my inspiration wall here, because I'm like my mind is going through a million things. I mean, I think I would have to invite Neil Young because
Oh,
I
yeah.
have played so many of his songs around a campfire. I mean, one of the first songs I ever learned how to play was "Needle in the Damage Done." Um,
You got
Merle Haggard
AC/DC in there?
for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard's pretty much in every fire pit party I've ever been told.
I imagine so. Merle Haggard. Um, and I would invite my husband because I couldn't have this experience without my husband. He would kill me. Okay, so how many is that? So I've got my husband, I've got Merle, I've got John, I've got Neil, I've got Aretha. So I got one more.
Hmm.
Who? Um, hmm. I think I would invite Derek Trucks. He's one of my favorite guitar players of all time.
Oh, wow. Well, I think that's going to be a hell of a party there, right there.
I agree. I think so too. Oh wait, okay. Oh gosh, I can't believe I forgot John Mayer. I might have to sub someone out for John Mayer.
No, you can have seven. It's your party.
All right, I'm breaking the rules. I'm adding a seventh for
There's
John
only,
Mayer. I think
there's
it's
only enough
acceptable.
beer for six, so it doesn't matter. You know, but Megan, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and good luck with everything. Hopefully, see you over here, and said I can't wait to see you live.
I would absolutely love that. Thanks for chatting with me.